Good afternoon, everyone. Kia ora, tēnā koutou katoa. Welcome to Shout Out. Shout Out is where we highlight our awesome SBN members and their sustainable products and services. I'm Dave Watson. I'm the National Network Manager at the SBN, and I'm just going to start off with a little bit of housekeeping. If you'd like to ask a question, please use your Q&A function at the bottom of the Zoom screen. You can also let us know if you have any problems or issues hearing the speakers through that function. So just use that, and I'm just going to get mine up now as well, so I can see any questions coming through. Hold on one second. So SBN is excited to present Michal Garvey from Foodprint and Cleve Cameron from Big Street Bikers as today's presenters for today's Shout Out. Each speaker will have 5 minutes to present their pitch, followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. So we'll aim to wrap it all up at about 12:35. And first, a quick introduction to Michal. Foodprint's Michal Garvey has combined her passion for food, technology, and sustainability to create Foodprint. The app is designed to give eateries a platform to sell surplus and imperfect food, to prevent it from being wasted and going to landfill. In light of COVID-19, they've made some changes to their model in an effort to help the hospitality industry through this crisis, and we'll hear a bit about that when Michal speaks. So another little shout out for Foodprint. Foodprint was a winner of the SBN 2019 Good Food Boost. So please welcome Michal, take it away.
All right, thanks Dave. Let me just share my screen with you all. Hopefully that one is the right one. And we will go play. Cool. Can you guys see that? Can someone just give me a thumbs up? I think I got it the wrong way around. Sorry, in fact, I'll just unplug that. Sorry, team. The whole double screen situation. All right, I think that is the way to go. Cool, well, thank you for joining us this afternoon. As Dave said, I am Michal and I'm the founder of Foodprint. So kind of a little bit, I guess, about me is in 2018, I returned home to New Zealand. I'd spent about 15 years kind of living on and off between New Zealand and other countries overseas. And it was sort of time for me to come home with a bit more of a permanent feel. While I was living overseas, I'd worked both in hospitality and in food tech. And this sort of perpetuated my interest in sustainable food and you know, made me really realize that this is an area that I wanted to continue to work in. So the food system that we have on Earth that's been created by the 7 billion of us that live here is actually quite broken. And there's about 1 billion people who experience food insecurity, and yet we overproduce so much food that means we kind of no longer value it and we throw it away with far too much ease. And this obviously has devastating effects on the environment, both due to the resources that have been wasted sort of in creating that food, as well as the methane that is emitted as food decomposes. The stats are pretty horrific. We actually waste about 1/3 of the food that we produce for human consumption. It's about 1.3 billion tons at a cost of $1 trillion US annually. So obviously it's a pretty massive problem, and when we kind of look at where food waste occurs, it happens at all ends of the supply chain, from production to consumption. And the area that I am focusing on with Foodprint is the sort of hospitality and retail sector, which accounts for about 30% of food waste, with the hopes that it will also have some impact on what's happening in people's homes through education, which sort of in home food waste accounts for another about 30% of the food that is wasted. So in New Zealand, the hospitality and retail sector accounts for about 50,000 tonnes of food being wasted each year. So obviously that brings us to Foodprint, which, as Dave mentioned, is an app that connects eateries who've got surplus food to people who can purchase it at a fraction of its normal cost. I'm just going to play a quick video. sorry, that kind of started a bit quicker than I thought I had. I thought I had it with a wee click in there to start, but obviously skipped that one. But anyway, so obviously, as you can see in there, you sort of download the app, you can see what food's available and you purchase it within the app and collect it in store. The food's available sort of on a that day basis, and it's still perfectly edible. There's nothing wrong with the food. It's just surplus due to it not being up to the store's normal cosmetic standards, or maybe they've just produced too much and had a bit of a slow day. So just to give you a bit of an idea as well, here's some of the eateries that we're working with. We're working with just over 300 eateries, and as you can maybe imagine, the last couple of weeks have been pretty busy for us. We've got about 25,000 app users, and so far we've saved over 20,000 kilos of carbon dioxide equivalent gas through food rescue. And then in light of COVID-19, we've done the infamous startup pivot and made a few changes to our model. So we've removed the requirement for eateries to discount the food, and implemented some changes to make it even easier for their side to be listing the food for sale. And I've got an ever-growing list of a couple of wish lists to make things even easier. So I think, you know, we've kind of always operated that in-app purchase model, and it just really made sense to me to use our existing technology to help support the industry at the moment. We also obviously collect customer data, which can be used for contact tracing if required, and that's all time-stamped based on when people were in the store. So that's kind of it. So yeah, I guess if anyone is looking to get out there and buy their lunch today, or even a coffee, I ran out and grabbed my first coffee in 5 weeks this morning. Yeah, please do consider using Foodprint for your purchasing, and supporting both us and the other local businesses that we work with. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Michael. Awesome.
No worries.
Hey, I'm just seeing if any questions that come through. 1 minute or 1 second. Yeah, so for question, what parts of New Zealand does the app currently operate in, Michael?
Oh yeah, great question that I think I skipped over there, sorry. So we're mostly Auckland and Dunedin. We have had a couple of eateries contact us in other areas throughout the country. So I think we've got one that's popped up in Hamilton and a couple in Christchurch. And look, they've contacted us over the last couple of weeks looking for solutions, and I want to be able to help as many businesses get back on their feet as they can. So yeah, there are a couple popping up. If anyone's got specific questions about specific regions, feel free to drop us a message on Instagram.
Okay, another one from Nick. Great that you're saving food going to waste. Do you foresee a loss to charities that might otherwise get the food?
So to be honest, absolutely not. So you know, I've got a great relationship with a number of the charities that collect food in New Zealand. The reality is normally what we're working with is quite small quantities of food. And for, you know, the likes of say Kiwi Harvest, who are one of the bigger ones, it presents some challenges for them to put a van on the road and a driver that's going to go and collect sort of a couple of items of food from different cafes, especially if you look at Auckland trying to do that at peak hour when they're closing. They're much better off focusing their resources on going into you know, sort of areas where they're going to get bigger scale that can help more. So yeah, absolutely not. And that's never my intention. And generally, if an eatery has got a great relationship, we say, hey, great, really happy to hear you've got something in process. We're happy to move on. Yeah.
Awesome. Hey, with your pivot, do you see yourself, once things settle down a bit, if they settle down, do you see yourself going back to your original trajectory, or are you going to
original model? Yeah, so I think it's really important to say that we haven't like ditched our original model of half price food, and a number of the eateries we've been in touch with over the last couple of weeks have sort of said that they will continue to post their sort of surplus and imperfect stuff. So watch out for some good offers there, especially towards the sort of later half of the day. But look, I think for us at the moment, everyone's just sort of getting through day by day this crisis, and no one knows how long it's going to last. So there's a little bit of uncertainty there, but yeah, we're just sort of figuring things out as we go, like everybody else. But I think the other thing is, and where our platform obviously differs from others in the market, is that at the moment, a lot of the conversations I have had over the last couple of weeks have been around, hey, we want to open up in level 3, but how busy are we actually going to be? So by kind of having us there as a backup, under kind of both of our models, hopefully will help the eateries reduce and figure out what their numbers are looking like over this time.
Cool, thank you. Hey, just for my clarity, is the food that it comes through the app, is that generally available at the end of the day? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so like definitely we're busier towards the end of the day, but there is stuff available right throughout the day under our normal model. I mean, I'm not going to lie, today's the busiest we've been at 7 a.m. But it's not uncommon to find food items getting listed earlier in the day. And sometimes those are items that, might have a shelf life of a couple of days within the eatery, on a normal basis, and today might be the last day, so they'll list it a bit earlier, or it's something that's kind of got a little bit damaged and isn't, the icing on a cupcake's got destroyed or something like that as it's been moved throughout the cafe. So things like that often pop up a lot earlier, but we are kind of busier in that post-lunch sort of time frame, that's for sure.
Cool. We so today's the business day. I guess people are hanging out for that takeaway coffee as a reward for 4 or 5 weeks of lockdown. Is we talked earlier about the takeaway cup issue. How's that going?
So it's definitely a challenge. I'm sitting here with my takeaway cup from this morning, and that's about the first takeaway cup that I've used in about 3 years, I think. So that was definitely something for me personally to get beyond. But I think, the next few weeks is going to be a challenge there. And I think even as we transition down the levels, I think it's pretty unlikely that we will see keep cups and that sort of thing offered under a level 2. I think that at the moment it's it's a balance, and everyone is trying to balance that environmental impact versus supporting the local businesses. And I think that, if we can continue to support the local businesses through this in another couple of weeks, then we obviously will be able to take our keep cups and our own packaging back. So yeah, it's a tough balance, and I don't have the solid answer there. But yeah, for me this morning, it was really important to get out and support another business. And I was holding out for that coffee, I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, me too. Okay. Is the most waste from hospitality due to post-meal leftovers, people not finishing what they're given, or during the meal prep process? Do you have any info on that?
So that's obviously another sector of hospitality waste, and that's one that unfortunately we can't help with at the moment. So it is really important for those businesses to have sort of worm farm or compost facilities available to them so that they can move that food for sure. But yeah, what we're working with is sort of that, I guess, untouched food that is still edible and can still be sold. So
cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, shout out is really we're trying to create the business opportunities as much as we can through our membership, and in true spirit of that, our next speaker, Cleve, has asked you, do you use cargo e-bikes for delivery, and do you want to?
So we don't do a delivery model at all. It's all pickup. A lot of places have been asking about delivery, especially over the last couple of weeks. Mm-hmm. Given that our sort of model is trying to reduce you know, carbon emissions and for getting people to eat locally. That's sort of been part of the reason that I haven't really, you know, got into delivery beforehand. But Clive, maybe we can have a little off-air chat after this and see where we could go. You know, if we were going to implement something like that, using an e-bike or a scooter or something is what sort of does sit with me well. So yeah.
Cool. So obviously, out of today, you would really like people to download your app, I guess, for a start, and you'd like to hear from restaurants and food producers who could be your sort of suppliers, I guess. Is that correct?
Yeah, totally. So you just cut out a little bit at the start, but I think I got it. That who I'm wanting to hear from.
Well, you want people to download your app for a start.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So we can all do that. That's free, right?
Yeah, obviously free to download in both the App Store and Google Play. And yeah, consider kind of supporting 2 local businesses in one, both ourselves and the eateries that we work with. And yeah, happy to have any of the sort of anyone that works in food or hospitality reach out and have a chat about how we can help you out as well.
Awesome. Hey, well, Michael, thank you so much. That's been amazing that you came on, and thank you again. I will now introduce Cleve. So Cleve Cameron is the co-founder and chief culture of Big Street Bikers. He was 20 years in the advertising industry. He's a creative force, and he's turning his creativity towards electric mobility network across the country. And that is in the form of Big Street Bikers. And you may, if you're in Auckland or you visited Auckland recently, you may have been to Wynyard Quarter and seen the container down there in Wynyard Quarter where Big Street Bikers operate out of. It's a very colourful, funky business, and I'm going to hand over to Cleve right now. Thanks. Take it away, Cleve.
Kia ora. I'm calling from the bush today, up in Northland. Hence the trees in the background, but I will share my screen and jump right into it with this here, Ride to Recovery. So around the world at the moment, so people are just jumping on bikes like never before. Milan, in fact, I don't know if anyone's heard over there, they've decided to say no to cars coming back into town after they come out of lockdown. They're just going to keep the streets for bikes and pedestrians. And then here in New Zealand, Auckland Transport has created 17 kilometres of new temporary bike paths. NZTA's put money into pop-up bike paths and tactical urbanism around the country to help make our streets more livable for people rather than metal bubbles. And in Wellington Central, the council's dropping the speed limit to 30 kilometres per hour in the CBD. So again, making it much more livable to be on the streets. So riding to thrive or riding for renewal is a really simple and powerful thing for us to do for our well-being and for our economy. We're setting up smart city infrastructure for healthy transport. Mercury been working with us over the last couple of years to do this, and the exciting good news is that starting this week in Christchurch, we are installing the first stage of our network that we call Locky Docs. Our network for electric mobility is to help with a happier, healthier Aotearoa and a more sustainable Aotearoa at a street level. So a Locky Doc, which is a secure park and charging infrastructure that were set up in that'll be in central areas across the country. So it's free to the public. You lock, dock, and recharge. It's run by an app, and you just swipe the app on the stand here, and open it up and park your bike or scooter or BMX or skateboard or what have you in there. It is a so our whole model here works on making it free to the public through having a digital advertising screen. Waka Kotahi, NZTA, are helping with putting bike maps on there, and then we have advertising support that subsidises the whole thing. And so these can be dropped into car parks or other places, and or outside shops, outside supermarkets, and so on. So the business model is really important, and something we've spent a lot of time to make it free for the property owner and free for the public, so that it's real. So we're removing all the barriers so that we can get this infrastructure and to really support this new freedom of mobility around our cities. And then there's considerable sort of public effects and benefits in terms of a public broadcast channel and civil emergency announcements and things like that that can go through the screens, and secure parking. So for local retailers, this is a really important piece of study that was done in Melbourne a few years ago. There's a few like it around the world, which just dispels the myth of how a car park is good for business. It's quite the opposite. So standard car park delivers about $27 an hour in terms of revenue for if you're a cafe or a shoe shop or what have you. Whereas turn that into bike parking, if that just held 6 bikes in that car park, then on average you're looking at about $97 an hour in revenue walking through the door. So in terms of flow of income, it's a great win for local businesses. So here's just having a quick look at Stage 1 network in Christchurch, which is starting this week. So on there's some very small little lightning wheels that you can see, but they're all in the central city there. Some fantastic sites, outside bars and restaurants and institutions and so on. So then it'll be a nationwide network. So Christchurch, so Wellington, we're in consent process for about it's a good 20 plus sites in central city in Wellington. Council have got right on board there, Greater Wellington, and really enthusiastic and supportive. Hutt City, and councillors in central Wellington and property owners, and then in Auckland as well. So some really great support from in the central city, which is our primary focus, around the Waitemata, and working with organisations and property owners, Ngāti Whātua Ōrākei and various other groups as well in the central Auckland area. We have, you see, Rotorua and Tauranga, Hamilton and so on there as well. We have great support in Rotorua from Tauhara North. They have got behind this from the beginning. If you're looking to advertise it on it, you talk to Phantom, really. You give Phantom a call and they'll book you up some ads on there. Mercury are one of the first advertisers on there, but there's some great, really high visibility sort of positions. If you're looking to if you have a business or a site or office or something where you could see real need for secure parking for your customers or staff or tenants, then definitely give us a call. Head to our website, locky.co.nz, and you can find out a bit more about that. Or get hold of me or Andrew at Big Street Bikers, and we'd love to have a chat and get you to join the network. This is just a example of a site in Auckland and Kingsland, the Garage Project Brewery. So there'll be, now that we're in level 3 lockdown, we can start installing some of our locations, and so this will be one here. And you can become a carbon zero hero and help save the world. And that's the show. You're on mute, Dave.
A lesson for young players. Hey, here I am. So we've had questions coming through fast and furious. Thank you so much, Cleve. I just wanted to ask. So the Locky Docs is a separate sort of business model to the Big Street Bikers, where you got the bikes, Locky Docs. Are they tied together?
Yeah, so what we have actually is our model it's a holistic model. We call it the electric triangle, which includes the rechargery co-op, which is what you've seen down in the viaduct. So that's that's the solar powered service stations or retail footprint, and that's an owner operated model. We're working with Mr. T in Mangere for the next rechargery, and then in Christchurch, and then in Wellington with owner operators there. So that's first part of the electric triangle. Then there's the Locky Docks, so that's the secure park and charging, and then there's ride to own plans. So the 3 points to it. So the ride to own plans is a subscription based model which is sold through the rechargery. So through that triangle is it's a self-supporting system. Ecosystem that can just rapidly grow, electric mobility in the streets. Yeah.
And then you got the advertising space you're selling as well, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think so that becomes a really important thing, having the visibility and as a channel that can aid the mode shift. So there's messaging that we can be putting on there, like you just saw there, like become a carbon zero hero or things like that. Which really drive that messaging for people to get out of their carbon-based metal bubbles and get into much higher vibe mode of transport.
The metal bubbles. Hey, so I used to live in Mount Eden, and Dominion Road was one of my main thoroughfares, and there's been a big kind of hoo-ha, brouhaha fight around different mobility opportunities down Dominion Road. And a lot of the resistance is from shop owners pushing back. So the question here is, what do you think it will take to convince shop owners that bike lanes are better for their business than car parks? Can council remove car parks for the implementation of these?
Yeah, I'm not an urban designer. There's a lot of people who have a lot more skill and sensibility in that area. But as I was saying, the research around the world shows that if a retailer can take that leap, then the revenues you're winning. What is it, 10 to 1, or no, 3 to 1, on having bike parking outside your shop, or having bike lanes is actually even better. It's the fastest way. There's research all around the world, basically, was that it's how you get a thriving retail community happening.
So we're just waiting for that tipping point, obviously.
Well, hello, K Road is having it built right now.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm actually kind of sad in a way about the lockdown stopping. It's been beautiful getting out on the bike and being able to walk and less cars. And it's been great that part of that transition is the temporary bike lanes. So one of the questions that's come through is, do you think some of Auckland and others temporary bike paths will stay long term after this?
I certainly hope so. I think, how long does it take to form a habit? Is it 3 weeks? And so, so I think the habit will be well formed. And it's a rekindling of a childhood love for a lot of people, that freedom of hooning around on your Rally 20 or BMX, and yeah, that's the thing. So, and there's really big public and political drive to make sure this happens, So I'm 100% certain that we'll be seeing more people on bikes and having bike paths to make it safe. I mean, I just love the fact that there's a whole lot, again, more research around it is actually safer to ride a bike than it is to drive a car. Which is one of those crazy sort of does your head in sort of things, because you don't have that metal skin, but you're actually, because you're riding on bike paths and back streets and things like that.
I know a big part of the container down in Wynyard Quarter is about getting people to try the bikes, yeah. And I agree, it's like that reconnecting with that that sort of forgotten love, which is what happened to me. I live in Mount Albert. I live right by the train station. I live right by all the motorway on-ramps. It's much quicker for me to jump on my bike and go down the cycle paths, and the paths are amazing. It's just such a great piece of infrastructure, and I arrive at work feeling jazzed. It's great.
Yeah, totally.
You know, so it is. So I think anyone who hasn't tried an e-bike or even just getting on their old normal bike, I just encourage everyone to do it.
Yeah.
So it's going to go through the questions. Is the Locky Dock for personal bikes or like a shared bike option?
Any bike can park there. It's open to the public. It's not a bike share. So yeah, it's a public utility in that sense. I'll just say to your point before, I'll just add to that to people wanting to try bikes. So our rechargery there at the viaduct is going to be is open under level 3 for appointments and for people to yeah, pick up, collect bikes, get their bikes serviced, things like that. So yeah.
So they can get some food on Foodprint and then go and get a bike and go and pick it up.
Exactly. Yep. They're away laughing.
Awesome. So you said they're designed to be for the general public. Could you see this being made available in a business commercial model?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And is that, so we do have other customers so that have just installed Locky Docks within their building for their staff. So that doesn't necessarily have the digital screen, but you know, it comes at its own sort of cost. But you know, and you could have it outside your business as well, so where it's visible. Does that answer that question? Is that?
I think it does. It's owned and run for business for business staff. That's what it said. But yeah, I think you've got that. I guess also that digital screen could be like a messaging piece as well, like you know, today this is happening, or welcome, have a great day everybody, or you know, if it was internal.
Yep, absolutely. So to that, so Wellington Hospital having so 3 Locky Docks going in there, so they'll be communicating to, you know, patients and staff and things like that as well. Wash
your hands, stay tuned. Yeah. So here's someone, great idea. Can Cleve speak more to the 2008 Melbourne study comparison between car parks and bike parks? I think you may have done that.
Yeah, I could probably send you that if whoever that is. We could it might even be on our website on the lockydoc.co.nz website. We have there's some section there, science and validation, which has a whole lot of links to different articles. If it's not on there, then we can there's a whole lot of different articles that can sort of expand on that research.
Cool. How is this project being funded, Cleve? Do businesses need to request it, and who will pay for it to be installed? Is it council funded?
No, it's funded by key partners. So so the likes of Mercury and other advertisers that have come on board that pay for it to go in.
Okay, and what about consents and stuff like that? Is that a?
So we do all of that. We take, so we look after all the consents, and so we have a really simple license to occupy agreement with local property owners.
Yeah.
So I should also mention the other part of the funding is that we have investment from iwi and Rotorua called Tauhara North number 2. So they're from a geothermal hydro background. Well, background, they have a few dams and a few geothermal things going on. So yeah, and they've been fantastic getting on board with this, seeing it how it affects the community and the planet all on the same time.
Okay, we've got a member in Christchurch who's asked a couple of questions. G'day, Nick. So he's saying he's a transport planner, and what you're saying, Cleve, is exactly right. The problem is that we're dealing with entrenched attitudes. And then he has a question. Where can we get more info about the ride to own idea?
Just go to our website, bigstreetbikers.co.nz, and it's all on there. There's some models there. Yeah, is that Nick Lovett?
No, it's Nick Renault. I hope I don't mispronounce your name, Nick Rignol or Rigno.
Okay, g'day, Nick. Sorry, no, Nick Lovett's in council there in Christchurch. Good character.
Any more questions? Oh, hang on. Where can we get more info? No, that's it. We've got that one.
Yeah. So for the Locky Docks, yeah, it'd be easiest to go to the website lockydoc.co.nz. No hyphen, just LOCKYDOCK. Yeah, it's all on there, and you can contact us through there if you're keen to get one located on a site at your business, or you're keen to advertise it on it, or so for members of Sustainable Business Network, you know, it's a fantastic channel because it speaks to the values that you stand for as a business in terms of really delivering that carbon zero transport option for people in the streets.
Have you got any info on the carbon savings for a business too, or for individuals?
Oh yeah. Again, there's heaps on the website, but there's a really simple stat. I think you guys might have cracked this one, but it's for every car driver, every commuter who converts to an e-biker saves a ton of carbon a year, which is a really simple little stat. And so that's why you become a carbon zero hero if you switch from car commute to e-bike, and you save about $1,000 worth of fuel costs as well a year. So yeah, it's better for your pocket and better for the planet. Excellent.
Hey, well, thanks, Cleve. I think Michael's just going to come back and join us. I can thank you both personally, and maybe just a final word, but I think it's been awesome to cover food and transport in a really sort of short time, and you know, two really big impact areas that where there are lots of issues, and here are two really great solutions for individuals to interact with, and also businesses to engage with as well. So really fantastic to have you guys along today. Thank you both. Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Cleve.
Thank you.
Welcome to day one, level 3, and we will get some details out to people who've tuned in about how to contact you as well.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity. Thanks for the time. And yeah, keep up the good mahi. Cheer.
Michael, any last words?
Just echo what Cleve just said, and thank you so much for having me along. And yeah, looking forward to a little bit more freedom that we now have in level 3, just a teeny tiny bit. So yeah, cool. Thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Thanks.